YouTube fans, it's Fang Talks coming back again with another video. This is just following on the theme of today with communism and infiltration. And I'm just going to talk about 3 books that are going to open up a whole lot of things to what's been going on with the church over the last 100 years. So the first book we've got in front of us is The Plot Against the Church, and this book is done by Maurice Penay. So if we just go into the description of the church, or of the book rather, to describe what happened in the church. So if we read this paragraph here, this book, The Plot Against the Church, was published prior to the beginning of the Second Vatican Council as a warning of what the dark powers had in store for the church. The high-ranking clerics, writing as Maurice Penay, stated that the ultimate purpose of the council was to remove the crime of deicide from the Jews and assign it instead to the Romans. It is a scholarly work worthy of consideration of all who would understand Christian history and Christian defense against forces seeking to destroy the church and faith. While written in 1962, Rabbi Louis Israel Newman wrote much the same from the Jewish side in his 1925 work, Jewish Influence in Christian Reform Movements, which is quoted extensively in the plot. So we'll have a look at this book as well. But we'll just go over what we've just read. And so this was before the Second Vatican Council, because that was in 62. And what basically one of the, well, if we look at high-ranking clerics writing as, so Maurice Penay, so they used it as a pseudonym just to conceal their identities. And this was about taking the crime from deicide, so deicide meaning to kill a god, away from the Jews and assign it to the Romans. So basically what this was about is that through the centuries, and as the scripture says, that the scripture says the Jews killed Christ, and obviously as Christ is a God-man, so that's where the deicide comes in. So this was so that the Catholic Church can stop preaching that the Jews were the ones that crucified him instead of the Romans. But the Romans executed him. The Jews are actually the ones that wanted him dead. So obviously this is how over the centuries the church became weaker and everyone else has become stronger in terms of influence. And so if we go to this book here as well, to the next one, Jewish Influence in Christian Reform Movement. This is quite interesting because if we read this again, just here, in his work, Rabbi Newman documents the struggle between Christianity and Judaism. The rabbi also includes information on Jewish influence in fomenting the Protestant revolt against the Catholic Church, which led to the freeing of Jews from church strictures and mainstreaming them into political and social life of Christendom, particularly in Protestant countries. Newman even takes up the topic of Jewish influence in Puritan New England. All in all, this is an important book for those wishing to understand the mutual antipathies which have beset Christians and Jews. So this is to do, obviously, with the 2,000-year disagreement between Christianity and Judaism, meaning Christ being the Messiah, Christ being the Son of God, God incarnate, and the Jews rejecting him as such. And so this book is looking at the history of the Jewish influence in the Protestant revolt, and which is really quite interesting because, I mean, so many people have written about how many revolutionary movements Jewish people were behind, and the thing is, the Catholic Church kept Europe basically safe and under control for 1,000 years, so Christendom. And Jews weren't allowed to have political office, and obviously the Catholic Church kept the hoarding Saracens, i.e. the Muslims, out from coming and overtaking Christian Europe. So what we always hear, we just hear about the struggle in modern day between Islam and Christianity, but this is the struggle that really matters, which is Christianity and Judaism, because it's been going on since the cross. So that's another book there that you can look at if you're interested in. But one that's going to be really quite eye-opening is this next one. It's called School of Darkness. This is by Bella Dodd, and she was born in the Catholic Church, but then abandoned it and went into communism. And then she became disillusioned with communism and returned back to the church. So, and then she wrote this book. And just by the way, just to see, this is the Communist Party of the USA, which is just brazenly there since 1919. And I mean, I don't want to go into that, but the date is just, it's just shocking that that's there, because you could talk so much about why was it even allowed to be established and founded back then. So anyway, what we'll do is we'll just read an excerpt of this book, School of Darkness. So Dodd's this paragraph here. Dodd's re-entrance into the Catholic Church, which as a communist she had so bitterly attacked, was a natural result of her new state of mind. In the early 1950s, she provided detailed explanations of the communist subversion of the church, reporting that in the 1930s we put 1,100 men into the priesthood in order to destroy the church from within, and that right now they are in the highest places in the church. For such positions they were working to bring about change in order to weaken the church's effectiveness against communism. She said further, then these changes would be so drastic that you will not recognize the Catholic Church. And this is something nobody's aware of, that the communist infiltration into Christianity has been massive. And I mean, you've got to do a lot of research obviously to see who today is a communist, but I mean, we can all, I think, agree that the modern Pope is he's just a full-blown communist. I don't think he's not even hiding it at all, because we're in a bad state that people just accept anything now. So that's really eye-opening. So that's this book, School of Darkness. So you can see by this picture of the cover of it, gives you the hammer and sickle behind the cross. So that's a really interesting book there, because it's someone that's been into the communist movement and got out of it. So I thought, just to round off this day of communist information and what's happened, thought of bringing some information on some books, and I really do enjoy doing this research and bringing it to you guys. So like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think, and thank you very much for watching. This is White Frank Talk, signing off. Bye.